I have known him since we were 8 years old. 22 years of friendship. He was my best man at my wedding. I trusted him with my life. And then one random Tuesday afternoon, I found out that everything about him was a lie. Every single thing. I never thought I would be the kind of person to post something like this. But what happened to me was so unbelievable. I needed to get it out. This is the story of how I lost my best friend of 22 years in a single afternoon, and how I found out completely by accident. Let me tell you about Jake. We met in 3rd grade. He sat next to me in class, stole my crayons, and somehow we became inseparable after that. Through school, college, first jobs, heartbreaks, marriages, Jake was always there. He was the kind of guy everyone loved. Funny, charming, always the life of the party. His wife, Amanda, was amazing, too. They had been married for 5 years, had a beautiful little daughter. Jake worked in finance, traveled a lot for work, sometimes 2 weeks a month. But that was just Jake, always busy, always hustling. I never questioned any of it. Why would I? He was my best friend. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the city for a work meeting that got canceled last minute. I had 2 hours to kill, so I decided to walk around. I ended up near this small cafe I had never been to before. I went in, ordered a coffee, sat by the window, and then I saw him, Jake, sitting at a corner table. I almost waved, almost called out his name, but something stopped me. He wasn't alone. He was sitting with a woman, not Amanda, a different woman. And between them, a little boy. Maybe 3 or 4 years old. I watched Jake pick up that little boy and put him on his lap. The woman leaned over and kissed Jake on the cheek. Jake smiled. This warm, comfortable smile. Like he had done this 1,000 times. I sat there completely frozen, coffee going cold in my hands. I told myself maybe it's a cousin, maybe a colleague, maybe I'm overreacting. But I knew. Deep down, I already knew. I didn't say anything to Jake that day. I just walked out of that cafe and sat in my car for an hour. Over the next few days, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. I checked Jake's social media. Nothing suspicious. Just his normal posts with Amanda and their daughter. But then I started looking deeper, and I found a second Instagram account. Private. Under a slightly different name. I made a fake account and requested to follow it. He accepted. What I saw made my stomach drop. Photos, that same woman, that same little boy, birthday parties, family dinners, a whole life. Jake smiling in every photo. The same Jake I had known for 22 years. The little boy's name was in one of the captions. He had named him after me. I had to put my phone down and just sit there, because I didn't know whether to cry or throw up. My best friend had a secret second family for at least 4 years, and I had no idea. I thought about this for a week. Should I tell Amanda? Should I confront Jake first? Should I stay out of it completely? In the end, I called Jake, asked him to meet me for coffee. He showed up smiling. Same old Jake, cracking jokes before he even sat down. I slid my phone across the table. The second Instagram account opened on the screen. His smile disappeared. For a long moment, he just stared at the screen. Then he looked up at me. And he said, "How long have you known?" Not denial, not explanation, just, "How long have you known?" I said, "Long enough." "How could you do this, Jake?" "Amanda, your daughter. How?" He put his head in his hands. And then he told me everything. The other woman, her name was Lisa. They met 5 years ago on a work trip. It was supposed to be a one-night thing. Then she got pregnant. Jake panicked. Instead of coming clean, he built a second life. He had been living 2 completely separate lives for 4 years. Different phone. Different apartment he rented for Lisa, splitting his time between 2 families. And the little boy, yes, he had named him after me. He said it was because I was the most honest person he knew. The most honest person he knew. I stood up, left my coffee untouched, and walked out. I told Amanda that same evening. It was the hardest conversation of my life, watching her face go from confusion to disbelief to complete devastation. She kicked Jake out that night. Jake called me 47 times over the next 2 days. I picked up once. He said I destroyed his life. I told him he did that himself. I just stopped pretending I didn't see it. That was 8 months ago. Amanda is doing better now. She has a good lawyer. She has her family around her. Jake and I have not spoken since that phone call. 22 years of friendship. Over. People ask me if I regret telling Amanda. Honestly, not for a single second. She deserved the truth. She deserved to make her own choices with real information. The hardest part isn't losing Jake as a friend. The hardest part is grieving the person I thought he was. Because that person, the Jake I grew up with, laughed with, trusted completely, maybe he never really existed at all. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening. This one was hard to share. Did I do the right thing by telling Amanda? I think so. But I would love to know what you think. Drop it in the comments below. And if stories like this hit close to home, subscribe. I share real stories every single day. See you tomorrow.